Let's make some noise. Come on.
Yes, indeedy, Nick Foles. Let's definitely make some noise. Welcome back, everybody, to The Final Word with MattyB here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. With your boy MattyB on the call, back with you on another to start another joyous romp through your Philadelphia sports landscape in this mid-July Monday night, as we're back. Not quite going to be a full week, but close enough. Last night I had some post-game obligations to take care of, so I did not have the opportunity, and I won't have the opportunity this week to bring you a full week, but it is what it is. I'm going to try to get it in. Technically, I would have done a show last night if I didn't have the post-game obligations. So I'm happy to be here. And yeah, a slow week on your Philadelphia sports landscape. Baseball has come to their all-star break, and as we speak right now is the home run derby. I have not watched a second of it. I have no idea what's happening. So if anybody want to provide some home run derby updates, that'd be great. The Phillies wrapped up their 2025 MLB draft today with a slew of that was a Freudian slip. Slew of pitchers selected in this draft. The Phillies had, I know there's never can have enough pitching and pitching rules today, but there are other issues with this organization, and the Phillies, I don't think, addressed those issues adequately or at the most appropriate time. But we'll go over some of the Phillies draft picks tonight. Try to educate you and myself on a few of these guys. The later round guys, maybe we won't really spend too much time, but we'll definitely talk about the top three all pitchers. We'll also, I'll give you my Phillies draft grade because I don't think they did well. I think they ignored a few glaring deficiencies within the organization where they could have added some talent in the first couple rounds, and they sort of put all their eggs in the pitching basket. We'll also dispel some rumors about the Phillies' number one their number one pick, Gage Wood, and his potential MLB debut in 2025. That's ludicrous that I've actually heard people talk about that they think is a chance that Gage Wood might be coming out of the Phillies bullpen for the postseason run. Huh? What? I think there's only been a handful of players that made that jump right from the MLB draft into the major leagues. And I don't see Gage Wood putting his name next to theirs this year. I sure don't. And we'll also talk about why the Phillies had the opportunity to select a player like Gage Wood, who was coming off of, it's funny because when I was doing the post game, I had the opportunity, it worked out timing wise that I could actually report on the Phillies number one overall pick. And I'm like, Gage Wood, who the hell was that? And then I was like, wait, that's the kid from the College World Series from Arkansas. He pitched a no-hitter, 19 strikeouts, and all that. But there's a reason why Gage Wood was available at 26. There are some medical issues and some concerns with the structural integrity of Gage Wood's shoulder. And a lot of teams, of course, get to see those things when they're scouting these players. And a lot of teams balked on that. And that's why he fell at 26. Now, did the Phillies capture a diamond in the rough? Is he the next? Again, everyone has him pegged to go to the bullpen. I don't know why that's all of a sudden a thing. I don't think any pitcher ever gets drafted and has aspirations of coming out of the bullpen, nor do I think the Phillies drafted him with aspirations of him coming out of the bullpen. But we'll get into some of that as we kind of navigate through the show. The Of the Night segment returns. We're not previewing a draft anymore. Maybe we'll actually overlook the MLB draft as well, because there were some definitely interesting selections taken at some interesting times last night and today. So maybe we'll go over some of the first round selections and some of the winners and some of the losers in all this as we'll do the show tonight. The Of the Night segment. No more draft analysis. Not even the NHL, no MLB. I'm in my post-draft lull. We'll get into some things though. We do have things to talk about of the night segment, and of course our card review and your night in Philadelphia sports history. All those great, wonderful things jam-packed into an hour here on the program. So let's get it going. Let's strap it up, strap it in, strap it on, and let's go. Keep your head, hands, and feet inside the car at all times. And here we go. Let's check out some of these messages that are already starting to come in. Joe Howe says, "How is everybody?" Good, Joe. How are you? I didn't do the salute. I'm sorry about that, Joe. Sorry. The Phillies selected 6 pitchers with their first 6 picked in the draft. Yeah. What the hell's up with that? Again, Michael, and I'm going to try to analyze that. Again, I get it. Pitching wins the day. You're going to win championships on your arms. I understand that, but there are not that the Phillies are like overflowing with pitching prospects. They're not. They got a decent amount of young arms, and you can always add more, but there are more problems in this organization than pitching. And catcher is top of that list for me. There's absolutely no catching depth within this organization. And the Phillies had a shot at Luke Stevenson, who I know Ike Irish kind of won the day as the number 1 catching prospect out there, as he was selected at 17, I believe, by the Baltimore Orioles. But I think Luke Stevenson, I like more of what he brings. He's a bigger guy, broader guy. Yes. Is he a much less polished product? Potentially. But anywhere you can try to find an up, maybe first, second round, and Stevenson ended up going in the early part of the second round of the draft. So I thought at 26, the Phillies were in an appropriate position to take him in the first round, back end of the first round. So I think the Phillies missed on that. Now, the Phillies did address the catching position later on in the draft, I think in the 7th round. But position-wise, we didn't really we took a handful of guys, and we took nothing but pitchers. So we'll get into that, Michael. I agree. The All-Star game isn't the same when I was younger. That's absolutely. That's a fact, Jack. Absolutely. And all the changes that they make to it. But it's still the All-Star game, and I still love it. The one thing I don't like about the All-Star game, and I think I've already told you guys this, I cannot stand the Nike-sponsored uniforms. I think they should go back to wearing their own uniforms. That was sort of part of the mystique of the All-Star game for me. And again, I know it's not 1985, and it's not like I can't look at the Texas Rangers uniform when I want to see it now. But back in '85, I couldn't, and it was really cool to see those teams' uniforms on display at All-Star games. And yeah, I guess it's a changing with the times type of thing, but it's still the All-Star game. It's still the Midsummer Classic. They call that for a reason, and it'll always have a very special place in my heart. So I will be tuned in tomorrow if I can. God, man, I don't have time to watch TV anymore, but if I can, I will definitely tune in. Joe House says to Michael Papernick, the pitcher they pick can help them sooner than later. Joe, I would say pump the brakes a little bit, man. Let's slow it down. Let's slow that fast train down just a bit. What indications do you have that Gage Wood is going to help this team, as you said to Michael Papernick, sooner than later? And I'm asking this honestly because he pitched a complete game, no hit, 19 strikeout performance in the All-Star game, in the College World Series. Yes, that's a momentous task and a history-making performance by him. Yeah, he's got a nice fastball, breaks at 98 miles an hour. I get all that, but there are some medical concerns about this guy. There are some issues with his shoulder that allowed a lot of teams to pass on him in the first round. And not to mention, I don't know about you, Joe, but I think that the competition that he's going to face in the pro game is going to be a little bit better than the competition he faced in NCAA. Now, maybe not until higher up in the pro game, maybe not until he gets to AA or AAA, but to send this guy on the fast highway, and I know you're not saying this year, you're saying sooner than later. There's a whole bunch of things that have to go right in order for that to happen. And we are talking about the Phillies, right, who do not do anything fast when it comes to their prospects. And I kind of agree with that. Maybe they do it a little bit slower than normal, but let's not put it's almost like we're reverting back to the Andrew Painter stuff. And not you, Joe, but I'm just saying what I saw today about this kid. We're reverting back to the Andrew Painter. He's going to come and save the starting rotation, even though he's never seen competition above the AAA level, or actually at this point was above the AA level. But yet Andrew Painter, coming off Tommy John surgery, was going to save the rotation. Now we're talking about a kid that's literally one day, like was 24 hours now of Philly. And he hasn't even signed yet, as far as I know. And if he doesn't sign by August the 1st, then he's not helping the Phillies out at all this year. And there's a chance he might never help the Phillies out. So as we all know, how they do it in MLB is that if you do not sign your draft picks by August 1st, they are ineligible to participate in any sort of team activities with you for the remainder of the season. And you have up to 24 hours before the start of next year's draft to sign all these players. And if you don't, then they go back in the draft pool for next year. But I'm not saying that's going to happen with this kid. But as far as, and I'm sure the majority of these players will sign by the August 1st deadline. I don't have any doubt of that. But I'm there's no fiber of my being thinking that this kid's going to help the Phillies out this year. And I don't even think he's going to help them out sooner than later, as Joe Hale eloquently says. It's unreal that we have 7 pitchers in the 40-man roster that have absolutely no chance of pitching at the MLB this year. Unacceptable organizational failure. Yeah, you got to round out that 40-man roster somehow, Steve. Right? And there's no, I get what you're saying, but never say never. I don't know, man. Never say never. And let's hope they never have to pitch in the major leagues. And, but I get what you're saying, though, that we can't find positional players that can help us out. I got you. The Phillies' first round pick is 6'2", 205 pounds. Yeah, he is. And he made history, and he'll ever be connected with that, pitching a no-hitter in the College World Series and striking out 19 to boot. Look, as first-round picks go, yeah, I mean, as first-round pitchers with pitchers available left on the board when they picked, yeah, I mean, the Phillies did the right thing. But again, I'm going to throw this out there. Was that really the biggest need of position that the Phillies needed to draft? I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around that. 10 players of baseball history gone from college to MLB without minor leagues. Shut that garbage down now. Yeah, and I think I know Dave Winfield did it. I know he did it out of college. And didn't Pete Incaviglia do it? Why did his name pop into my head? I think he did it too. I think he did it as well. But you're right. It's a very, very short list of players that go right from the draft to the MLB. And, even Paul Skeens had to wait a year or the following year. At best, he starts out at Jersey Shore, although College World Series is about AA level ball, or at least used to be. Yeah, I think Jersey Shore is an appropriate place. And I think more than likely, they're going to start him out in Clearwater. I really do. I think him and the majority of the picks are headed to Clearwater. Now, how long he stays in Clearwater will be determined by what he does. Listen, this kid, first of all, this kid's been pitching since what? January, maybe December, as they were getting ready for the start of this season in college baseball. They finished the College World Series last month. So he probably hasn't pitched competitively for about a month. Now he's about to get ramped up and thrown into a pro program. So they're going to take him down there and say, okay, this is all you learned in Division I. Well, guess what? Forget about all of it. Because now we're going to teach you how to be a professional pitcher. So it's not like this guy was placed upon the earth by the pitching gods and said, do with him as you will. They're going to have to teach him how to pitch as a pro. And that's not happening overnight. And I think, and Steve, I could pretty much buy that Jersey Shore. I would be surprised if they started him off there. I would, but I wouldn't be like, what are you doing? I wouldn't be. But I think the more appropriate place for him to begin is low A. Absolutely. The most appropriate place for this kid to begin is low A. And then forget about him. Forget he's there. Let him develop as a pro. So this Phillies first round pick is going to leapfrog Painter. What's he? Steven Strasburg or Paul Skeens? I don't know. Either jumped straight to the majors. Neither one did. Paul Skeens at least spent the rest of his draft year toiling in minor league baseball before getting, and matter of fact, started the following season, 2024, in minor league baseball before getting the call. He's not generational. He's a 26th overall pick in the first round, but he's got a College World Series no-hitter with 19 strikeouts attached to his name. And that's all people are looking at. They're stopping their research right there. He's not pro ready, in my opinion. He's not. He needs to learn how to be a pro. And the worst thing that could happen to him is he finds his way somehow to the Phillies in 2025. That is the worst possible thing that can happen to this kid. I don't get the Phillies fans. Some of them I don't get. And these are not homers talking. These are people that have, a dog in the fight, and I somewhat respect them. But yeah, I mean, I don't get that. I don't get that how anybody could be even considering that he's going to go right from being the 26th overall pick in the first round of the MLB draft to somehow add it to the postseason roster in 2025. That would probably destroy his career. All right, let's go now to our day in Philadelphia sports history because we're getting behind. And I want to go back to the year 1988. Nothing was really happening right in baseball in Philadelphia in 1988. But on this night, Mike Schmidt hit his 537th career home run in a 7-5 Phillies loss to the Houston Astros. On this night, Schmidt moved past Mickey Mantle for 7th place on the all-time home run list. Schmidt, of course, retired a year later in 89. And since then, his place on that all-time list has sort of gone in reverse as people have passed him up in the modern, more recent modern era. But on this night, the Hall of Fame career of Mike Schmidt took another step towards that Hall of Fame back in 1988 when he hit his 537th career home run and a loss to the Houston Astros. So not a very detailed fun fact, but a fun fact indeed of your night in Philadelphia sports history. Reporters says he failed some medical stuff. Stevenson did. I did not hear that. I did not hear he failed medical stuff. Ricky Deal is watching. Hello, Ricky. How are you tonight, man? With the Phillies taking all these pitchers, is it a tell sign that they maybe the organization outside of Painter is not happy with the development and landscape of these young pitchers? That could very well be. Or they could have had some sort of overall grade on this draft that they didn't like on the positional players. There's really nothing outside of your usual suspects. And we'll go over some of the names that were taken early on in this draft that were really the cream of the crop of some of the positional players. Ethan Holiday sort of leading the way and all that. It could have been that. It could have been what Michael was saying. It could have been a whole bunch of things. And but it was something. And I would love to know what it was. I would love to know what the determining factor of the Phillies going so pitcher heavy in this draft was. And what are they telling the fans? And what are they telling everybody in baseball? That is Michael Papernick correct? Indeed, are they not happy with the development of some of their players? Or were they not happy with the development potential of some of these position players that were in this draft? But I still think they missed on an opportunity to get the team deeper, at least in certain positions. No, you did. I can't wait to see it. Didn't Darren Dalton do the same thing? He got rushed by LA and was what? I thought you said Darren. I thought it said Darren Dalton. What the hell did Darren Dalton play with the Dodgers? Yeah, absolutely. You can't do that stuff, man. You can't do that stuff, especially in this day and age. These pitchers aren't ready for that. A pitcher, I don't care if Division I, Arkansas, Division I, LSU, Division I, USC. I don't care what Division I program you came from. You are not ready to go right from that to the Major League Baseball postseason in the same season. No, the kid will turtle up and die. He's not ready for that. He has to be put through the paces of a pro pitching staff, a pro pitching coaching staff, and the pro lifestyle. Don't forget, the pro lifestyle, that comes into play too. So, no, man, that's absolutely ridiculous to think that he might be pitching this year for the Phillies. Inky did it, Bob Horner, Winfield, all the root for sure. Yeah. I know it was Winfield. And yeah, okay, so I guessed correctly. Incaviglia. I didn't know Bob Horner from Braves fandom there. He was right from the draft. Also didn't know John Olerud. Was he wearing his batting helmet back then too? I know he wasn't, but you rag on a player like John Olerud. You know what? I think that him wearing the batting helmet while he played defense, I think that's something that's going to end up being the norm in about 10 years. I think everyone's going to have to wear their batting helmets or some sort of other headgear on the field. Unfortunately, we haven't heard much about that. It doesn't really happen that often where somebody gets hit in the head by a line drive or something like that. But God forbid, something's going to happen eventually, probably sooner than later now that I said it. That someone's going to either die or get very, very seriously injured by a line drive or whatever. And then they're going to mandate all players to wear some sort of batting helmet protection while on the field. But John Olerud was a trend setter indeed. Jim Abbott went straight to the majors. Is Jim Abbott as the one-handed Jim Abbott? I didn't know that. Fun fact, they were also filming the movie Stealing Home when Schmidt had hit 537 home runs. Oh, really? That's an awesome movie, man. Mark Harmon talking about how when he was drafted by the Phillies or signed by the Phillies, that it was between him or Mike Schmidt who got called up to was it AAA, and he got left behind because obviously of Mike Schmidt. I did not know that. Stealing Home is that old? Jeez. It's a great movie. Great movie. Are they telling us they're going on a trade Painter or Abel or for Paul Skeens? That would be amazing. But, it's funny you mentioned that, Michael Papernick. What does this draft, if anything, tell you about what they might be hedging for in the trade deadline? And I was hoping to come out of this draft with some sort of inkling of that. Like, okay, based on who they've selected, let's kind of line up these people and let's see where they're headed. And what does that spell the end for certain players? Now, you could make an argument that all these pitchers might spell the end for Mick Abel. Maybe they're done with Mick Abel, Griff McGarry, a couple of other of the pitchers at the AAA level. Maybe they're saying, you know what? We're going to restock with the Gene Cabreras down there in AA, and then we're just going to let the younger kids fall in below them and just work their way up to. It could be something to that. They could be saying we're done. We don't like the current group of prospect pitchers that we have, and I mean the high top ones, the Mick Abels, the Andrew Painters, and this could be a blueprint for what they might be doing at the trade deadline. I don't know if that's really the case. I was hoping to come out of this draft with a better understanding of that, a more clear picture of that, and I don't have that because when you select nothing but pitchers, talk about tipping your hand. I don't know how else you can tip your hand other than taking nothing but pitchers, but I don't know, Michael Papernick. And that's an interesting point to bring up, and it's something that I was thinking about all last night as the first 3 rounds were developing, and I honestly didn't watch any of the draft today. I didn't have time. But I have seen who the Phillies have taken with their latter picks. Nothing jumps off the page at me at all, but we are going to go over those players here momentarily, but very briefly. And then we'll also talk about the top 3 picks very briefly. But that's a good point, though, Michael Papernick. Does this tip their hand on what they might be doing with the current group of high-rated Phillies pitching prospects? Well, when Mark Harmon turns the lights on at the vet, I think Schmidt is at 537 if you look at the background, LOL. Yeah, right by the MAB sign, right? Where they used to keep the home run tracker up there. Yeah, I remember that. I remember those days, and I remember him turning on the lights too. Yeah, he had the urn with him, right? Wasn't he? Didn't he leave it at home plate as he was messing around on the stadium? He was drunk, wearing his old Reading Fighting Phils jersey. Or wasn't that what he was doing? Or he had a Reading hat on or something like that? Derbies or finals are called Riley versus Caminero. Okay, so there you go. There's a report from Joe Hale. I was looking for that. I have not watched anything at all. So we are moving into the finals of the home run derby. Cal Riley of the Mariners against Caminero of the Rays. Interesting. And he says set. All right. Ryan Swope, what's going on, man? How you doing tonight? Mike P, either that or they are happy with the future of positional prospects. Who knows? Which that could also be. I'm having a harder time wrapping my head around that aspect of it than I would wrapping my head around that they're giving up on the pitchers. I don't know of. I mean, there's some decent positional prospects going on, but we're devoid of catcher. We have no depth, I should say, catcher. We're not devoid of catching talent. We just have no depth there. Yeah, I mean, I could buy what you're saying a little bit, but again, I can wrap my head around the fact that they're giving up on the pitchers more than I can that they're cool with the positional players. A few years back in the draft, the Angels took a pitcher with all 20 picks. I did not know that. That's stupid, and that's why the Angels are where they're at, and their pitching still is not together. How do you feel about how do you feel about all our picks? Star Wars, we've been kind of going over that, and I guess Star Wars can lead us into this. Let's segue into it right now. Here's the Phillies draft picks, rounds 4 through 20. So they picked, as everyone mentions it, the first 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 and 3. The first 8 players selected in the draft from the Phillies were pitchers. And then the first positional player was taken at 281, a shortstop named Matthew Ferrara. And then they went right back to pitching. And then they took a catcher there in the 7th round at 341, Will Verling. I don't know if he's any relation to Matt, but he was selected at 341. Tyler Bowden at 371, another pitcher, an outfielder at 401, Jack Barker. 2 more pitchers, a shortstop, Logan Dawson. 2 more pitchers, another shortstop, Robert Feltz, and a shortstop, Landon Schaefer. So pitchers, shortstop, an outfielder, and a catcher. It's your Phillies 2025 draft recap. And now the big race will start to sign these guys, as they have to August the 1st of this year to sign these players and not lose them. But if they can't sign all these guys by August the 1st, that means they cannot participate in any sort of Phillies team driven activities in 2025. And they'll have up to 1 or 24 hours prior to next year's draft in order to sign all of them. And if they don't, then those players will head back to the draft pool and start this all over again, as a la J.D. Drew did a few years back. Well, I guess it's more than a few years back now, but there you go. There's your Phillies draft picks, round 4 through 20. We are going to talk in a little bit more depth about top picks rounds 1 through 3 here in a second. Let me get, I don't have the information loaded up here. Let me get it all pretty for you. But again, I said this earlier. I think the Phillies kind of missed the mark a little bit on this draft. Yes, you need pitching, and yes, pitching does win championships, but we are not, I think, at a position in our organization that we can just bypass everything else. I mean, there's some serious flaws at catcher. There's some serious flaws at third base. There's some serious flaws at first base. I think we have a bunch of young outfielding prospects, but there's some serious flaws around the diamond organizationally that the Phillies really did not address. Are the phone lines open? I don't know, Ricky. We'll see. Correct, Billy Wyatt and MattyB broke into the vet. They did. They were drunk. Wasn't Billy Wyatt wearing a Reading Fighting Phillies either a jersey or a hat? I think he was wearing a Phillies hat and a Fighting Phillies jersey. And it was an old school hat. Fisher is a steal. How so? How is Fisher a steal? Yes, he's related to Matt. So there you go. So he is related to Matt Verling. I miss summer school, Mark Mr. Shoop, huh? All right, let's talk about. So we discussed a little bit overview of the Phillies round 4 through 20. Let's go now to the top three round picks. Of course, here's the man of the hour right here, Gage Wood, right-hand pitcher from Arkansas. Wood has one of the best fastballs in this draft, sitting at 94 to 96 and reaching 98. It's a combination of velocity and carry, along with his low release height and flat approach angle. It produces elite rates of chase, as well as overall in zone swings and misses. He relies heavily on his heater and a power 82 to 85 mile an hour curveball that shows flashes of becoming a plus pitch. So this guy is a power pitcher, and that's evident by what he did in the College World Series. Again, I'm not saying that the Phillies missed on this pick. I'm not, but I am saying that maybe would he have made it out of the first round? His stock had fallen because before the medical concerns came up and before teams started digging around in his medical background, he was a projected top 10. And then he fell all the way to 26. So could the free fall have continued? Maybe, maybe not. And again, I'm not so upset that they took him at 26. But then to constantly just keep going pitcher, that's when it really kind of got what the hell are you doing? But there he is, Gage Wood. A lot of people have him projected to be the Phillies closer of the future. I guess it's a safe bet that Rob Thompson won't be the Phillies manager when this kid makes it to the Phillies. I guess it's a safe bet. So maybe there's a bullpen with roles then when he gets to the Phillies. And maybe he is the new closer. But once again, I don't know how many pitchers come out of college or out of high school or wherever they came from before they got drafted and had aspirations of being a relief pitcher. They don't. Most of them despise that role. Most of them want to be starters. So whether or not he translates to a back end of the bullpen type guy, or if he is a future ace of the staff, I don't know. But get your minds out the gutter by thinking he's going to be a Philly at any point in 2025. So let's move now to the second round. And Cade Obermuller, oh Lord, from Iowa, a left-hander, was the Phillies' second round pick. He works from low arm slot that produces outstanding metrics on his fastball and slider. He sits at 91 through 94 miles and can reach 98 with his heater, showing the ability to create carry, run, or sink from an unusually flat approach angle. He imparts huge horizontal break as well as good depth in a low 80 slider that eats up lefties and righties. This sounds a lot like Aaron Nola's draft report, if you guys remember that. He's got a lot of Aaron Nola attributes there. He relies on power, but yet he relies on power junk. And then he moves the ball around the plate. And he's a left-hander. So actually, I'm more impressed by this guy than I am with Gage Wood, to be honest with you. And he's got starter written all over him. So I like a pitcher who's got an arsenal of pitches, and he's got that 94 needs to probably be at a minimum of 96 by the time he hits major league play. But if he stays at 90, if he stays between 96 and 98, I can live with that. But I do like the fact that he mixes it up and he comes at you from different low angles and the ball has break. And as I said, this reads similarly as Aaron Nola's did when I remember reading it way back in the day. So there's your second round draft pick. And then here's your third round pick, another pitcher, Cody Boker, the right-hander from Vanderbilt. Boker usually operates at 90 to 95 miles per hour with his fastball, but it's not velocity that makes it special. He uses a drop and dive delivery and a low arm slot, producing unusually high spin from an unusually low release height, which makes his heater appear to be rising more than most. He pounds the zone with his fastball and also gets chases with it. And it's almost impossible to deal with it when he throws it at the letters. So here's a guy that relies a lot on movement. Here's a guy that relies a lot on spin. And here's a guy that uses those two things and incorporates power to it. That's really good, but there is concerns about the wear and tear on that arm as he continues to pitch like that. Now, I'm not telling you that, I'm scared about that. There's risk to injury to everybody, but I like that profile. I like the fact that at least the second round and third round picks have more movement versus velocity, where Gage Wood is a power pitcher. So again, I'm not completely out on the Phillies' first 3-round draft picks. I'm not. I'm just, somebody answer why they took all these damn pitchers. So there you go. So here's the 4 through 20. And we just went over 1 through 3. So the 2025 MLB draft is in the books. And now we can focus on the real things, which are the postseason, I guess. Oh, man. I feel like the first year without Arbuckle, we took a lot of we took like Zach Collier and Larry Green, but then took like 7. I don't remember that. I don't remember that at all. I remember Zach Collier getting drafted. I don't remember. Where the hell's Larry Green? Jeez. Rumors say Gage can pitch for the Phillies in a pen this year. I doubt it. Yeah, Ryan, we've been pretty much debunking that all night long. It would be absolute career suicide for this kid to pitch for the Phillies in 2025. Absolute career suicide if he were to be even considered. And take a look at it like this too. If that's the big savior piece to our season, a player that was not even like anywhere on our lists or anywhere in the organization when this thing all started, and he's the one that's going to come in and save it. I think Dombrowski needs to be fired because obviously he's not doing his job, and we had to luck out into a draft pick. But yeah, listen, we're putting all that. I can't even entertain it, Ryan. Honestly, it's so ridiculous. I can't even like give it credence because to me it's so ridiculous to think that this kid's going to come out of nowhere, and I mean nowhere, and be on the Phillies roster at some point in the bullpen. And if that's the case, then we really need to, like, once again, I know they just revamped the minor league system. Well, we need to revamp it again because you're having a pitcher that just came out of college and then bypass all the levels, or maybe settle somewhere at AAA or something, and then make his way to the Phillies from there. And if that's the case, what the hell's going on down there with the rest of the pitchers that no one else can do that? So I don't know, man. Sounds like a situational lefty under this bullpen, maybe. Can Cal 18 Junior has to get 19. So Star Wars is now giving us. Star Wars has taken over the home run derby updates. Is now 1918 Junior Camalerio versus Cal Riley of the Baltimore Orioles. So keep tuned in. Ben Francisco is throwing home run derby. Is he really? Is he really? For who? For who? For who? For what? What are you talking about, Ryan? So the MLB draft is in the books. Phillies have taken everybody, 17 pitchers or 15 pitchers, 2 shortstops, a catcher, and an outfielder. Or 3 shortstops. 3 shortstops and a catcher, an outfielder, and about 16 pitchers. 15 pitchers, whatever it is. That's interesting. Very interesting. The most pitcher-heavy draft that I can remember in my lifetime. So, what are your thoughts on the draft overall? And I know it's hard because, and let's face it, the normal person out there is not scouring the ranks of high school and college baseball, looking at this thing, doing player cards on these guys. Well, I am, but, most normal people are not. And there's always players that come from out of nowhere. And I go back to just as last season, Dante Nori. I did little to no work on him. And matter of fact, I was left scrambling on draft night to try to produce something on him because there was no way that Dante Nori in my books would have gotten drafted in the first round. But the Phillies did that. So this is probably, in sports going, this is probably the most crapshoot of all drafts, MLB. It's a lot of players, a lot of different levels of minor league baseball, and a lot of different possibilities that can occur. But the Phillies did decide to go one route, and that was through pitching. And maybe it was the right thing. Maybe it wasn't. Time will tell. But let's take a look back now at what was the first round of this draft. and some of the players that will highlight some of our players that we spent a lot of time on this network talking about leading up to this draft and where they ended up falling. And right off the bat, I was shocked. I ain't gonna lie to you. Eli Willits gets selected in the first overall by the Washington Nationals, shortstop. Leapfrogs a high schooler. He's an academy guy, so that's that's okay. But he leapfrogged Ethan Holloway all the way up to number 1, and the Nationals went after him. Tyler Bremer went number 2 overall, the pitcher from UC Santa Barbara, leapfrogging my projected number 2 overall pick, Seth Hernandez, the right-hander out of Corona High School. Leapfrogged him all the way up to number 2. Now, Hernandez ended up going at 6 to the Pirates, and I made this comment last night. If the Pirates can somehow hold it together for the next 3 seasons, and you are going to start seeing a rotation that has Paul Skeens and Seth Hernandez in it, they may actually turn a corner at some point for the Pirates. I thought Seth Hernandez was the best pitcher in this draft. I thought he was the best pitcher in this draft, hands down. But Tyler Bremer gets selected by the Angels, number 2, and then Seth Hernandez goes all the way down to 6 by the Pirates. And of course, Ethan Halladay by the Rockies at 4. Join in Charlie Condren, the basher from the University of Georgia, out there in Colorado. Arquette went 7 to the Marlins. I'm looking through some of these names. Jamie Arnold, who a lot of people had him as their best pitcher in this draft. He made it all the way down to 11, and he went to the A's at 11. Moving on down the list here, looking for Ethan Conrad, a player that I wanted for the Phillies in the first round. Went 17 overall to the Cubs, the outfielder. Ike Irish, the first catcher off the board at 19 to Baltimore, trumping Stevenson. Xavier Nienz, another player that we talked about, is one of the ones that I thought the Phillies should be targeting at 21 to the Houston Astros. And then Sean Gamble, another outfielder that we talked about, went 23 to Kansas City. And then the gut puncher, man, the kick in the junk pick that really got me upset, threw me all off last night as we were sitting here literally doing this live. I had this tracker up, and it was counting it down, and we got down to 25, which was one pick before the Phillies, and it was the Padres, and they took Kurt Schoolcraft, the 6'8" high school senior with 98 mile an hour fastball with a bunch of movement. I wanted that kid so bad. I wanted him so bad, and the Padres took him one pick before the Phillies at 25. So from Sunset, Oregon, or from Sunset High School in Oregon, the same pitching coaching pool that developed or produced McAble. McAble. Of course, Gage Wood goes to the Phillies at 26. Jason Laviolette, a player that we spoke about, 27 to Cleveland. And Caden Bodine at 30 to through Baltimore. Another catcher that basically bumped up Stevenson. So Ike Irish, the first catcher off the board, and then at 30, Caden Bodine, the second catcher off the board, to the same team. Now, could somebody answer that question for me? Why are the Baltimore Orioles selecting catchers with 2 first-round draft picks? Well, I think the second one was a compensation pick, but at 19, they took a catcher at Ike Irish, and then they turn around at 30 and they take another catcher, Caden Bodine. Is Roshman still playing for the Baltimore Orioles? Have they like decided to move on from him? But that is an odd way to run a draft board. You know, we can get all pissed off about the Phillies selecting 15 pitchers or whatever it was, 16 pitchers, but I feel much better than that, than selecting 2 catchers with 2 first-round draft picks. That's very strange, especially to a team like Baltimore that has a catcher in Roshman who's not 3-4 years in the league. But the Baltimore Orioles, in their infinite wisdom, decided they wanted to load up on catchers, as they took 2 of them in the first round. It's just absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. So there are some organizations out there that are doing it worse than the Phillies. Yes, there are. Into the second round, talk about a couple players. Where did he go? Wait, did he make it? No, he never made it out. So I think, let's see. No, he didn't go into PPI. He didn't go in the 1C. Where is he? I think he went here. Now, Baltimore also followed that up in the, not the first round per se, the first round compensation round. It's not really the first round, but they took another player that I liked, Slater DeBron at 37. The outfielder who I think has a lot of Lenny Dykstra kind of similarities. Luke Stevenson went at 35 to Seattle. So Seattle got him at 35. So Luke Stevenson falls from the first in my board catching prospect in this year's draft all the way down to the third, as Baltimore got silly when it came to taking catchers in the first round. So there's there's an update there, a couple updates on how the first round of the draft went, and of course the Phillies and the way they went. So it's in the books. We can move on with our lives, and so can I. And with that being said, let's now move on with our life to the of the night segment. All right, with the MLB draft in the books, let's focus now on the actual prospects. Yeah, that's right, because don't call them draft picks anymore. Let's call them prospects. And we're going to go back into the Phillies prospects, the current group of Phillies prospects, to exclude the draft picks. We're not going to talk about them tonight, but hopefully very soon in this show, we will be talking about them as soon as next year. But tonight's our Phillies prospect of the night is Brian Racone. Don't call me Gabe Racones Jr. I am Brian Racone. I am a shortstop with the Jersey Shore Blue Claws. This week's player of the week in our Down the Phillies Farm segment. While Racone's overall numbers as a pro don't jump off the page, a career 711 OPS heading into the season, he does bring some solid offensive traits to the table. The Phillies are hoping he can get back with a clean slate. The switch hitter makes a ton of contact and with low miss and chase rates, and he draws a lot of walks. The hope is that continued added strength and healthy legs under him, he can provide enough contact and on-the-base skills to fit regularly with the big lineup. Here's the problem with Brian Racone, and in a nutshell, Brian Racone's got trade bait tattooed all over him. There's possibly, I am going to go out here and say Brian Racone will not be in this organization in 3 weeks. This is a position at shortstop that is completely log jammed right now with Trey Turner and then his incumbent, which will be Aiden Miller. But Brian Racone will never see the light of day as a Philadelphia Philly. And you heard it here first. He's going this year. They're going to package him in a deal because that's the level of prospects the Phillies are going to, or Dave Dombrowski is going to pilfer in this year's trade deadline. He's not going after the top level. He's going to try to steer away from them. But players like Brian Racone, Gabe Raconis Jr., Arun Escobar, Jean Cabrera, those players are going to be in the crosshairs of Dave Dombrowski and the Phillies and other teams in this year's trade deadline. I'm telling you, I'm sorry to have to say it. Racone is never going to see the light of day as a Philadelphia Philly. His position is log jammed, and other teams are going to look at him. What teams with more immediate need at shortstop, and he is going to be packaged and shopped around, and I'm sure he's already being shopped. But while we have him, let's revel in him for a few more weeks. Brian Racone, the shortstop from Clearwater, is your player, or is your Phillies prospect in our of the night segment. And yep. You guys are talking. What are we doing here? It's not Ben Francisco. Okay. ESPN said it was. It's a different Ben Francisco. I thought I can't wait for the Flyers roundup. We're going to do that soon. Soon. 14 for junior. Cal won the draft. What? What? You mean Cal won the home run derby? Oh, so your home run derby winner is Cal Riley of the Seattle Mariners. I know. I said we'll see it. I promise, Ricky, we're going to open the phone lines tomorrow night. All right. I told you guys, you got to get on me early on. I forget about it. Joe Hale's usually the first one in this chat. Joe, you have a new job. You got to send me a reminder within the first 5 minutes of the show to open up the lines, and I will. I'm not going to open them up now. We're at the end, but Joe Hale is now. So get mad at Joe Hale from this point forward, not me. Joe Hale has to open up the phone lines. If he doesn't do it, if he doesn't remind me, it won't happen. We'll blame Joe. No, listen, Ricky, I'll get him going. I promise, man. I promise. I swear to God. Just got to give me some time. I'm trying to weather the storm of this summer. All right. I'm trying to weather the storm. It's tough, but we will. I promise you, we will get him open. Not tonight, but we will. Yep, he won the home run derby. So, all right. So there you go. Breaking news. We have a home run derby champion for 2025. That means tomorrow is the All-Star game. Now, one last tidbit about the All-Star game. I know the All-Star game is under a lot of angst these days, and I know it's tough. You got players like Zach Wheeler who bailed out. You got players like what's his name? Jesus Christ, the Phillies pitcher, Chris Sanchez. Jeez, who basically said, "I'm not going to pitch." Because even though I'll get a bonus or whatever, I'm not going. I understand the trepidations there. I understand the what's around it, but I also understand what the All-Star game is. It's an exhibition game. It's always been meant to be an exhibition game, and it's an opportunity for you in season, because that's how baseball does it. And that's how they've always done it, and it works, and it's always been that good to sort of showcase yourself. Not go out there and actually and I hate to say it like this, but not to go out there and give 110%. Yes, Pete Rose did that, but Pete Rose gave 110% no matter what he did on the field. But it's an exhibition game. The John Kruk, Randy Johnson thing in '93. Did that not sum up the whole exhibition narrative for you when they're out there playing around with the fastball inside and all that? So all this angst about, I'm not going to play in the All-Star game. I'm not, that's fine. If you don't want to pitch, you just pitch Sunday or Saturday, that's fine. But you should go. If you were voted in, you should go. And you should spend time and get the accolade of being selected by the fans and then being selected by the managers as a reserve. It's Major League Baseball saying, great job. You deserve this. Congratulations. You're an all-star. So yes, you should have to go. If you're elected in, regardless if you're going to play in the game, and you can't make people play, and I get that. And I don't want to make anybody play, doesn't want to play, but you should go and represent not only your team and that team's fan base, but also the sport. Baseball's on slippery ice these days. There's some buffoons out there that believe baseball is sort of falling off. It's not. Baseball is fine when it comes to recruiting new blood. It really is. But unfortunately, baseball is a regional game here in the United States. It's not very popular here in the Northeast because of the climate we live in. And you can only play it maybe 5 months out of the year. But if you live in the South, if you live in the West, I told you guys this past winter, I went to Alabama in February. And yes, I did have a banjo. And yes, it was on my knee. But I went to Alabama this February for the sole purpose of to go work baseball, because baseball starts in Alabama in mid-February. And it runs all the way to, I think, the last tournament. I'm going back down to Alabama in September to finish up the baseball season. It runs all the way to November 9th. And then they take a couple of weeks off for the holidays, and it's boom, right at it in January with workouts, and then the seasons begin in February. Baseball is alive and well in the South. Baseball is alive and well in those regions that can have it and support it for 8-9 months out of the year. So this idiotic notion that nobody's attracted to playing baseball anymore is coming from people that, one, probably don't have an ounce of athletic ability, and two, just uninformed, narrow-minded, ignorant people who equate what happens in this part of the country as gospel around the country. Baseball is alive and well, but it is on slippery ground when it comes to advertising itself to a new fan base or a new crop of young players. So I work games during the high school season in central New York and in Philadelphia. And there's a lot of programs out there, and that I noticed this year, that don't have a JV team, didn't have a modified team or 7th, 8th grade team. I know some people call it that. Everyone had a varsity team. Some of them weren't very good, but there are a lot of programs, and more so than I've noticed over the last 3 years, that didn't have all levels of high school baseball because of lack of interest. So there is a real problem. And again, it's a regional thing. It is. Down south, that's not an issue. But here in the Northeast, it is. And they got to find a way to promote baseball better. And I think the All-Star game is one of the biggest ways you can promote the game. By not by gimmicking it up, not by all the glitz and glitter, going back to what made baseball and made the All-Star game fun in the first place. And for me, it was watching these players play in their own uniforms. Simple as that. Their own uniforms. Honoring the past at these All-Star games. Honoring the superstars that came before them. Just more baseball type stuff, not all this crap that they're doing now. Get back to where it began and get back to the basics. So the baseball All-Star game will always have a place near and dear to my heart, and I always will watch. And for those individuals out there that want to do away with the All-Star game or, do away with baseball, whatever, obviously those people come from a very scorned background. Maybe they were laughed off the baseball field at some point of their life, or maybe they were told they couldn't play baseball, or maybe they can't play baseball, or maybe they're vengeful against the sport in some way. But there's nothing wrong with the baseball All-Star game as it is, with a few tweaks, getting back more to old school baseball. Makes sense, right? We need to do Flyers live. Yeah, we're going to do Flyers live. I'm working on that, Ricky. I promise you I am. Next year, we host a home run derby. Yeah, it's going to be fun. At the bank. Home run derby, the draft, the futures game, the All-Star game, all of that is coming to Philadelphia. And your boy, MattyB, will be front row center. I'm going to start working right now to get credentialed for that event. Start working that right now. Start bribing the people up at MLB. I'm going to go down and work all that stuff live. Now, it's going to be fun next year. Can't wait. So Cal Riley is the first catcher to win a home run derby. Is he, though? He really is? Piazza never won it? That's news to me. Like a Kaepernick breaking some news tonight. I thought Piazza won it at some point. Okay. Well, I believe you. I mean, I'm not doubting you. All right, so let's get to my favorite part of the night. Oh, before I do that, let's pay some bills. So it is a quiet week here on the It's Rap Sports Network, and there are some things in the works. Unfortunately, they're in the works in my mind only. I have not even asked the others about this yet, but we are going to try to do a mid-season Phillies check-in show at some point, either Wednesday or Thursday night, before they get going against the Angels on Friday. We're going to try to get as many of the Fighting's final hosts that want to do it, get them all together, because we don't ever come together as a hosting team until we do it 3 times a year. We do it in the beginning of the season when we preview the season. We do it mid-season, the All-Star game, and then we do it at the very end of the season, and when we do our review show. And then, of course, in the postseason, we work tandem. But we spend a lot of time separate as hosts. and bring everybody back together for the All-Star break and bring everybody back together for a midseason check-in show is pretty cool because we get to kind of bounce ideas of our own observations of what we saw through the first half. So I'm working on that. It's hard to corral these guys, though, man. Everybody is so damn busy right now. It's hard for me to corral them, but I am working on it. But again, unfortunately, right now, it's only been working in my mind. I haven't even spoken to them about it, but it's my intent to do some sort of check-in show, Phillies midseason review show, either tomorrow, not tomorrow night, but Wednesday night or Thursday night. As far as the Flyers go, yes, we are going to do a Flyers review look-ahead show, probably now more towards the back end of the month, right before football season starts, right when training camp gets going. We'll try to do that. So I owe you that. The Clear the Ice crew will come together, and we're obviously a new group again this year. As Mike Laro joined in February, Sal's no longer with us, and then I think we're going to add Pat to the show this year, or add Pat back to the show. So we'll get that wrapped in, or get that going. But we do have our regularly scheduled programming that will happen this week. When we do get back at baseball on Friday, this is how it's going to look for the Fightins final. Al will come at you on Friday nights, Pat on Saturday, and I will have you on Sunday for the Angel series and the return of Logan O'Hoppe. Where have you been? Maybe I should maybe I need to go to a Phillies game this weekend and pine over Logan. Well, I wish you were here. So the Fightins final will be back this weekend. Some point on Thursday night. Don't forget the Attacking Third with Steve and Pat. My program, the Final Word with MattyB, hopefully the rest of the week. The wraparound at 10:30 on Friday night with Pat Bernard will be back as well. And we'll wrap everything up with the PM and the AM program every Sunday morning. So all those great things coming at you over the course of the week. So next year we'll host the Futures game. Yeah, we'll do it all. We have all the All-Star weekend festivities. We'll have the draft, the home run derby, the game, the Futures game, the hit, catch, and run thing they do. All that stuff's going to happen next year in Philadelphia. And it's probably going to be sandwiched in between a Phillies homestand because they usually, and maybe they'll change it because the Phillies are hosting, but they typically alternate. Like last year, the Phillies wrapped up their first half, I say in air quotes because it's not the first half, but the pre-All-Star break in Philly against Oakland. This year, they were on the road in San Diego. I think in 2023, they were home or on the road as well. So I think they alternated every year. So I don't know if they'll be able to do that next year with hosting the festivities. So, but yes, that is what they will do. Saquon Barkley's first season in Philadelphia featured record performances on the field, a Super Bowl title, and a new contract that is the richest ever for a running back. Throwing out some rando Eagles point there, Star Wars. Yeah, you're right. Star Wars, I have about 2 months. Maybe a month. I guess about a month I'm going to start putting my Eagles hat back on. But about a month, I can revel in not talking about the Eagles. But I know it's coming. And unlike a lot of people, I turn football off when it's not here, and I gravitate to other sports. But football is coming back, and yes, a title defense with it, and a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, yeah. Whole bunch of stuff to get into this year with the Eagles. And we'll definitely be talking about it. But I figure about another month before I get into that. But yeah, we'll get into that stuff, I promise. Oh, it's coming. Be careful what you wish for. Piazza was a first baseman. Oh, yeah. First baseman, my ass, man. He's a catcher. I don't care what position he gravitated towards. He's a catcher. So I was technically right. Piazza was the first catcher to win. All right, let's get to my favorite part of the night. Where is it? There you go. You know what it is. Yep. MattyB's card review segment is back. So is what the show. It's always part of the show. And I've been feeling good about the card review segment over the last few weeks because we haven't been hitting a lot of 87 tops anymore. We've kind of left those wax pack stack cards behind, and we've moved into the new era, right? Most of our cards over the past few weeks have been from 2025 and like, I don't know, 2021. I don't even think we've left the 2020s over the last week or two. We're going to leave the 20s tonight, but we're only going back as far as 2018. So we're going to go to 2018 tops. And that's a set that has one of the more, I just went on a rant about baseball and how it's on slippery ground and it needs to really start promoting itself better in some areas. Baseball is not devoid of superstars right now. And in every era of baseball since the dawn of time, there's been those players that are superstars. And we have those today. And tonight's card is one of those players. Tonight's card is a guy that, if you have an opportunity, and I don't care if it's from 2018 because that was his rookie year or his rookie card year. If you have an opportunity to scoop up any of this guy's cards, no matter what year it's from, you need to do it because he's a special, special individual. And he is definitely the face of baseball, or one of them. And I speak of the Japanese superstar Shohei Ohtani, and there it is. There's Shohei Ohtani's 2018 Topps rookie card. That's it. That's the holy grail one right there. That is the legit rookie card. Now, of course, the 2017 season was Ohtani's rookie year, and then starting in 2018, there was no 2017 update series or anything featuring him from 2017. This is the legit bona fide rookie card. But there's many variants of the rookie card from 2018, and this is just one of them. It's the alternate jersey pitching one. Of course, it's got your Topps with the rookie card logo on it. And if you look on the back of the card, there is nothing more than 2017 stats. So this is one of his rookie cards. This is from the update series, card number 1 from that update series, and educate you a little bit more on the Topps sort of how they release their cards throughout the season. Of course, Series 1 is the first to go in February. Series 2 follows that up around May or June-ish. You got your Chrome series comes out in like August. Then you got your update series that comes out in like September. And then finally, but then you got your Chrome update. That's right, Chrome update, which comes out right behind that. And then wrapping it up, you have your holiday edition Topps card. So this is from the update series back in 2017. And this card is definitely a keeper, especially if you get it graded and it grades out anywhere near a PSA 9. This card can fetch you anywhere up to, what did I see on the low end? $300. On the high end, $15,000. And this is a card that if you happen to fall on this card specifically, a US 1 from the Topps update series in 2018, you need to stick it in a card protector and take care of it, because it's going to be, I think, worth a lot of money many years from now, as he is, again, one of the faces of the league and very lucrative card. So tonight's, and of course it's the traditional. Now in 2018 they weren't vertical, they were horizontal. As you can see, the entire card though again is nothing but the player. Just a little bit of attention's paid to the bottom part with his name and his team name, but it's the full frontal card is the player. And it's a really nice looking card. It's a no frills card, honestly, but it still drives home the point. And you see Shohei Ohtani's name with a rookie card logo on it, you know you got something. So, and here it is in its physical form in front of you. Woohoo! I have actually 3 of these cards. So again, low end $300, high end $15,000, depending on how badly somebody wants this card. But this is definitely one of my keepers of my collection, the 2018 Update Series Topps rookie Shohei Ohtani. And there you go. I pulled out the big guns tonight. One of my centerpiece cards. Yesterday we won with small ball. Yeah, but Star Wars, are they going to win with small ball tomorrow? No. They're not. They're going to win with, and they only scored 2 runs. Small ball. Stars again. They're not a small ball team. Come on. You know, every clock is right. A broken clock's right twice a day. That doesn't mean they can do it consistently. All right, good show. Thank you, Michael Peppernick, and thank everybody else for joining in tonight. It was fun. I'll be back tomorrow night, and hopefully with more information about our Phillies midseason check-in show. I'll reach out to the guys tomorrow. But yeah, so until we talk again, guys, we are done. I am in post-draft revelry. I have nothing to do now when it comes to the other night segment. When I'm done with the Phillies prospects, I have nothing to do. I'll start putting together the flyer profile player cards here soon. Get them ready for release at the end of the month as we'll start talking hockey. But yeah, man, it's a weird time, weird week. Nothing really going on this week. So anyway, you guys have yourself a great night and a great tomorrow. Thank you, Joe. And we'll talk very, very soon. You guys, good night.